This is Channel 13.
Living side by side, dreaming 2 by 2. You are the reason that we do what we do for you. Yeah, for you. We do it for you on WIBW.
Welcome into our WIBW Digital News Center on another Throwback Thursday as we take you inside the WIBW Video Vault, proudly presented by Ace Plumbing, Heating and Air and Appliance, and we are thinking spring this week.
We are.
Even if Mother Nature keeps going up and down.
It is. I go outside 1 minute, it's nice and warm. Next minute, it's cold and rainy. But it's something we deal with every year, really. Very seldom do we just glide on into spring and go from there. So every year there's something that comes up that, makes the farmers worried, makes the gardeners worried, just makes the anchors with their hair worried. Just a little
Yeah, like
everything.
this week, you got to get outside and it gets windy and rainy and everything else. And this also means that you are constantly running onto things in the video vault that have to do with getting ready for spring, easing those fears, and really dealing with this transitional weather time of year.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a puzzle. I'll find a couple of things that kind of go together, sort of, and then there's something over here unrelated, but I can usually spin it to make it kind of a theme. So we have the this time of year theme, things that we need to keep in mind or that we have in the past kept in mind.
And you mentioned the gardeners and the farmers and how, especially when we've had some of the warm stretches that we've had, things start to bloom, things start to pop up, and then if we have another cold snap in the forecast, that can be a not so good thing.
That's true. We used to go out quite a bit to Reese Fruit Farm. Norris was out there, and he's always willing to. I don't know how excited he was about it. It was hard to excite Norris, but he was always willing to talk with us, and so we had some nice weather back in 1992, early '92, and everything. Well, the other day, my neighbor pointed out, "Wow, look at all my trees are really blooming right now. Is that going to be an issue?"
Well, we found out. We got the answer.
Well, I don't know. He has a different kind of tree than Norris had, so he'll have to talk to someone smarter than me to find out the real answer.
But it is always cool to find these folks that we talk to and relive memories with them. And so from 1992, here is the advice that Norris Reese from Reese Fruit Farm had when it came to what do you do? How worried should you be if your trees are already in bloom?
King bloom comes out first.
Norris Reese has been a fruit farmer nearly all of his 79 years. He knows his crop, and he knows the early budding from the recent warm weather combined with last night's freeze and the weather ahead isn't good news.
Our chances are just real. To me, it's nearly a blank chance.
Reese says he hasn't had a full harvest in 12 years, and this year he fears he's lost everything. 50 acres, 1,400 trees worth of fruit.
I hope we can change that a little bit, but I don't see how. There's the strong bud in there is right in the center, and there's usually 4 around it's outside. And the one in the center is the strongest one, and usually if any of them survive, that king bloom in there will survive. But I don't think it can survive on the weather we've had last night and going to have tonight.
Kansas gardeners are seeing the bad news at home.
If you didn't do anything last night to protect your plants, why, don't do anything tonight. The most damage was done last night. If you did cover or anything you did yesterday, do that now.
Farmers will be watching closely as the mercury dips down again tonight. The wheat crop could be affected too, especially in the southern part of the state where it had been warmer. But experts say it's just too early to tell how damaging this cold snap could be. Russ Potasic, 13 News.
And the second person that we spoke with there was Joe Fritton.
Yeah, we had Eric come over and confirm that because it's been a while since the group of us have worked with Joe. So
and Joe actually headed up the old lawn and garden show that we had for so many years over there at what was then the Kansas Expo Center, now Stormontville Events Center. I think they are hoping to bring it back next year, kind of make it an every other year thing, and we'll keep you posted on that. But yeah, Joe was involved in that for years.
And as far as Norris's fruit trees went, I'm into 1992 now in the archive. So I'm
You're so
sure,
proud.
I'm hoping somewhere, well, yeah, that's a big accomplishment for me. I
Yeah.
don't usually accomplish much, so.
When did you start working here, Doug?
While back,
Well, back.
but
You just had your 34th work anniversary,
something like that, yes.
which would be 1992, which would mean we're going to be starting to see Doug Brown classics.
I actually saw what probably was my first story yesterday, critiqued it, and wondering if I actually went into the correct field, but long time ago, too late to change now.
A lot of the fruit trees are gone
Well,
now out at Reese Fruit Farm.
It's true, and I'm hoping that there will be an update in 1992 with Norris. Maybe something wasn't quite as bad as he thought, but Norris was a business guy, so he had contacts. He knew other orchards. You know, he knew who to get a hold of because he still needed apples for the cider, that sort of thing.
And we
So-
talk from time to time, Doug, about the fact that you grew up around here and you actually have a history with Norris Reese and the fruit farm, and you spent years helping out over there or doing some little things from time to time.
I would pick up the pulp or the pumice that was left over from making the cider, and he had this really old forklift that my dad knew how to drive, and it was weird. Didn't have a steering wheel, but they'd load it in the truck. We'd take it home, and the cows would din up.
Loved it.
Yeah, they would din up Dad's truck.
Oh my goodness!
Get to it.
And you had uncles who would pick apples
Dad
during the
picked. My
summer.
grandma worked for Norris. Dad and at least one of his brothers would pick for him. Yeah, when they were kids. So.
Quite a long history at Reese Fruit Farm. And by the way, it's right off K4 Highway 24. You may have to take some circles to get there with the construction that's going on right now. If you're going eastbound, you can get off now. But then you might have to take a little circle to get back on. But we say that and give you directions so that you know the apple cider slushes are still there.
And there's history with that machine. I'm thinking there may be something in archive on that machine. I'm going to go back and look because that is a historic machine. Norris had told me things about
There
it.
you go.
So
We will see.
Yeah, we'll see if we can add that somewhere down the line.
Sticking with the Reese family, what else did you find in the archive for this week?
Well, we've gotten this was a few years previous.
1987, it looks like you've got written there.
But we had gotten through spring that year, through the frost and everything.
okay.
We'd gotten to the summer, but there was a trend, I guess, with lawn care. Now you see everybody doing the cool little cross hashes when
Okay.
they mow, or some people like old rusty implements and flowers in their
Farm art.
in their yard. But in that particular year, there was I guess a craze going on that we looked into, needed to find a little more about.
Okay, so from the summer of 1987, and this is Jack Reese, who would have been Norris's son.
Yeah.
And is it from
Skinner's
Garden
down at
Store?
Skinner's,
Okay,
I
so we
believe.
went over there in July of 87 to find out what the hot trend was in gardening that year.
It stands on two legs and has been the object of ridicule by those who call it tacky. But the pink flamingo is making a comeback. It was first popular in the 1950s, and today sales of the plastic piece of yard art are at an all-time high. Topeka merchants who sell the flamingos can't keep them in stock. Area Kmart stores say they're sold out, and another local lawn and garden store has only one left.
You're always kind of surprised at the things that you find people are interested in putting in the yard. Sometimes they're sold for a gift for somebody. It's kind of a joke. I've seen that happen before. Other people are serious consumers, want them for their own yard.
Television's Miami Vice is thought to be one reason for the bird's rise in popularity. The manufacturer of the plastic birds, Lawnwear Products Incorporated, plans to make more than 150,000 pairs this year. That's to keep up with the demand, which is rising 20% each year. But for some, buying a pair of new flamingos isn't for them.
They've been out, well, I know I've had them at least 20 years, and they've been out every year. I always wanted a pair of them. And when I saw them, why, we stopped along the road and I got them.
Cap says she doesn't want any of the new flamingos. She's become attached to the ones she has. But for many others, the attachment to the pink birds is just beginning. Diana Davis, WIBW News at 10.
Everything old is new again, I guess you might say.
Yeah. And how tall were they?
34 inches, it
34
said there,
inches.
right on the package, Now people use the pink flamingos as a I'm inadvertent. You can't see, but I'm
standing- she's
inadvertently standing on
like
one
a
leg. Okay.
flamingo.
I am inspired by the flamingos. Now people use it as a fundraiser. You get a flock
That's right.
of flamingos. I don't want to say the name of it because people might misunderstand and think I'm saying something naughty.
Okay.
You get a flock of flamingos on your lawn. People have done this for, I think I've seen the Cancer Society do it once. There are all sorts of organizations. Some marching bands, like school groups, have done it. I've seen these things, and like you wake up in the morning, like you make a donation because you want Doug to wake up to a lawn full of flamingos, and they like mysteriously, someone I think did it to us here at the station one year. We all arrived and there were a bunch of flamingos out front.
What I thought was cool, they come in a pair, so you're getting 2 for 1, like you pay the price.
And he's always looking for a good deal.
That's
folks.
true, and you aerate your yard because they little feet stick in the ground.
I love the lady was ahead of her time. She had had them for a super long time, and she didn't want those new ones. It's fine if they're a little faded.
I was mentioning earlier, I believe when we bought our very, very, very old house in the basement, it's still down there.
I think
it's
so.
It's a plaster, part of a plaster flamingo, so it's probably worth a fortune.
And let's not make any comments about the fact that it's probably still down there and what that
it's
says
down
about
there,
my
definitely,
cleaning, or about the fact that we just don't get rid of anything.
Well, it could be worth something some days, though.
Maybe. Now people are going to be like, ooh, do you still have that partial piece of a broken flamingo? Mm-hmm, sure. All right, Doug's going to be looking for it tonight. Hey, we've got more fun as well, because when the seasons change, something might happen with your dinner menu as well. And one of the classic spots around Topeka has that happen, or had that happen around this time of year. We will show you that story from our WIBW Video Vault, proudly presented by Ace Plumbing, Heating and Air and Appliance, when we return in 1 minute. Welcome back into the WIBW Video Vault, proudly presented by Ace Plumbing, Heating and Air and Appliance, a throwback Thursday where we are celebrating spring and looking back at a bunch of stories this guy found about this kind of transitional time of year. The month of March is a little strange when it comes to Kansas weather. Look no further than this past week's forecast.
Well, yeah, we're past the flamingos, and it must have been kind of a slow time of the year because, well, we saw, the fruit story was that's kind of a harder story because that affects your prices and all that stuff. So Russ Potasik, who was our investigative crime and courts correspondent, was really big. He did the fruit story, so I could see that because, but must have been a slow day on the next story we're going to show you.
Or he just liked to eat. Because, of course, when the weather turns cold, I always know that it's really, truly fall and football season when you have that first pot of chili for the year. That is a sign the weather's turning cold. That's that quintessential meal. I personally could eat soup and chili year round. But for other people, once spring hits and that weather warms up, they don't want that warm stuff anymore. They don't want that hot meal.
It wasn't an option at some places.
And there was a place in town, that you found a story that we did because they apparently took chili on and off their menu, and they were very well known for their chili.
Yeah, chili. I'll give you a hint. Chili, the hot pickles.
Yes.
What
do they call it? The plate?
Yeah.
The cold plate or whatever they called it.
Sandwiches.
Perubsky's down in Topeka's Little Russia neighborhood always was famous for its chili, and apparently you could not always get it.
Yeah, and I believe it was Charlie that Russ talked to here. But, he'll tell you in the story that he loved doing it. But I guess after, making that many bowls of chili for so many months of the year, it was good to have a break.
All right, so here is what happened when we visited Perubsky in mid-March, late March of 1992, because there was a little bit of a change in the air when it came to the chili on the menu.
In North Topeka, every winter for more than 40 years, Perubsky's famous chili has been attracting everyone from railroad workers to bankers. So you are at the onions?
Yeah.
But like the seasons themselves, the onion chopping and chili making eventually has to come to an end. This year, that end comes tomorrow.
Tomorrow afternoon, you won't even know that we've been in the chili business. Everything will be put away, and we'll have it all put away for another 6 months.
This is just the beginning of the last 40-gallon pot of the stuff.
1.5 pounds of hamburger.
By many, Perubsky's chili is considered a delicacy. For Perubsky and his wife Lydia, though, it's just hard work. The sign up front makes it clear, at least for the summer, the Perubskys are getting a break.
I really don't know. I think I'm just glad it's over. I look forward to when it starts. I like that, but after fighting them for 6 months, it's kind of rough, you know.
So from the celebrity customers, who by the way hang on the walls here, to the regular customers, tomorrow is a last chance for the season.
Get like 10 chilies or 12 chilies. Then some people come and buy chili to take home, put in their freezer.
If tradition holds, this empty tavern will be packed come tomorrow with Perubsky chili fans for a taste of the end of winter and the beginning of spring. A taste of Perubsky's chili that, like Old Man Winter, will come along again, but not until October 5th. Russ Potasic, 13 News.
Okay, little debate that I've seen going for years. We need a family member to tell us. You hear Russ saying Perubskys. We've done stories where
some say Perubskys.
So
you know, I've
I need
had
to know.
one of the kids, he's a grown man now, one of the authors on the 4 o'clock show, and I can't remember what he said now, Matt. He's written different stories, and he did a whole thing on the Little Russia Chili Parlor. By the way, there is, you know, in the old Perubskys location, the Little Russia Chili Parlor had reopened there after the Perubskys retired, and they are still open, so you can still go down there and take it. But, you know, Charlie, the family, it was old school. I mean, I think you had to, right up until the end, I think you had to pay cash and things. You just hand your $5 bill. I just remember one of our Kansas Senator Jerry Moran used to go there, and he would say, you know, I got to have my plate at $5 and however many cents. We got to make sure we have the cash when we go there, because you just go. It kind of sounded a little bit like that soup guy on the old Seinfeld, where you went up and you had the process. But yes, they were nice. They were nice people who weren't going to kick you out. But that was kind of fun that you couldn't get the chili, even though they were so well known for the chili. He still was glad to have a little break in the summer.
And it had to be tough, you know, making sure you had enough, because I've, you know, been around here a while, and at the State House or other places when there were some executives from some businesses in Kansas City that would pick a day in the month and just drive over.
They had a reputation. They definitely were.
And you didn't want to run out on chili when people traveled that far. So he had it down to a science, I'm sure, to make sure he always had a little bit, you know, on the back burner there to serve everybody. But as a kid,
kind of like a donut shop, right? Yeah. Jake up at Baker's does, and I'm like, how many do you know how to make every day? And he's like, well, I don't know. By the way, we're going to be ready to announce how much they raised for Big Brothers Big Sisters this year with their donut sale. Just FYI, that'll be on the regular news here sometime here in a couple of weeks. But yeah, the Chili Parlor, always fun to see, always fun to remember that tradition.
Yeah, and going back to the name, growing up, we always called it Perubskys, so that probably means it's Perubskys, because I get everything wrong. So
I'm sure we will get comments correcting us and letting us know the correct way, only for us to forget the next time we say it.
Yes, and we'll get your sister, next time she comes down here, we'll find somebody that makes hot pickles, because she was our pickle person.
She wanted pickles, yes.
She liked fried pickles, so we never got a chance to get her there to see if she liked hot pickles. But next time
I hope the weather stays hot eventually. We are headed into spring. As our meteorologists like to remind us, March 1st is the start of meteorological spring, even though the whole official start isn't until like the 20th or 21st. But whatever the case may be, when Mother Nature decides it's going to be warm out there, it's going to be warm out there. We are in severe weather preparedness week. We already have all sorts of seasons of weather in the forecast for this week. So then that's when you definitely know it's spring, when they start talking about the severe storms and tornado risk. Woo, here we are.
But if you still...
And snow 2 days later.
Well, if you make a big pot of chili, I don't care what the season is.
Bring it on over.
Give me a holler.
And share
I'll
your
help you out.
favorite family recipes.
That's true.
Thanks for taking some time to think spring with us here in the WIBW Digital News Center, heading into the Video Vault, proudly presented by Ace Plumbing, Heating and Air, and Appliance. We will see you next time. Leave comments on what you want him to go find in our Video Vault.